Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me. I'm talking to Lee Wade from Is Mediation. You started a brand new business in April 2020, and today we're going to talk about how you got into this business and what were the challenges you faced building a business during lockdown, because South Africa had one of the toughest lockdowns in the world, and
Yeah.
how now in October of 2020, how the business is picking up and really showing signs of life and growth. Thank you for joining me, Lee.
Thank you very much, Willem, and welcome.
I appreciate you spending some time with me. Just give us
Thank you.
a little bit of a background about you.
My name's Lee, as you've introduced me. I'm originally from the UK. I studied in the UK. I'm a registered and qualified social worker. I was on the front line and then worked in the youth prisons.
Hmm.
That's where my passion for mediation and negotiation really came into play and where I enhanced my skills. After leaving the UK, I came to South Africa. I started working courts. I saw gender biases. I saw discriminations. I saw systems that could be improved for the
Okay.
better of all families going through. So, taking my time and thinking I didn't want to continue with social work. I didn't want to be a social worker in South Africa. Got a lot of it's got a lot of challenges.
Hmm.
It's a system I'm not used to working under. I'm
Yes.
used to working under government. So I thought, how can I impact a lot of families quickly, in a cost efficient way,
Yes.
saving them time and ensuring moving forward they have the communication and skills to be a family still,
Absolutely.
even after divorce.
Yes.
So the way to do that is through mediation.
Okay.
Carry on.
Yes. No, no. Please
Oh, sorry.
continue.
Last year, I studied through the Law Society and I'm an accredited family and divorce mediator.
Before you go on with that, just what
Hmm.
is mediation? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Because is it negotiations?
No.
Is it so? Is it a list of demands? What is it, and why is it helpful?
So, mediation is a guided process between
Mhm.
two people who are in dispute, and it gives them an alternative way to resolve their disputes. It's kinder. And actually, the people or the parties involved in mediation resolve their own disputes through guidance, through a process. So, the point of mediation is to be totally objective, authentic, transparent, and to hear what both people's issues are, get to the root factor, and make sure you settle. You
Okay,
have an MOU at the end.
so they basically sort out their own issues.
Absolutely.
You facilitate this process between
Yes.
the two of them, and even
Yes.
though these two
Yes.
parties might have been fighting over a glass that grandmother gave them
Absolutely.
and they've been fighting about that for 5 years. You've seen people through this process make amazing breakthroughs.
Unbelievable. I have seen successes through lockdown that I really never thought I would see. Harmonious, peaceful, people working with integrity, humility, and reaching resolve.
Wow.
I mediated a number of divorces through lockdown on Zoom sessions straight away as soon as I started my business, and it was successful. I still
Okay.
speak to these people today, and they, as a family, are speaking to each other, and the children are happy. There
Okay.
was no litigation, no acrimony. It wasn't
Mm.
easy.
No.
There were tears, but
Yes.
we got there in the end.
That's good. So
Um,
your qualifications in this, you said you went to some training at the Law Society.
I did. So you have to have some kind of previous degree that's in a field of life coaching, social sciences, maths. There needs to be something.
Mm.
You need to have studied at least a module or two of law to have the understanding and the basics. Now, most degrees do give you that.
Okay.
Um, Through the Law Society, I went on a 40-hour practical course, 40-hour theory course. I had to pass it, I had to be evaluated, and then I was left to fly
Okay.
as
So
a
it's
mediator.
as you want to get practical, it's not one of those. Yay! I have a certificate, and I've seen many of these. Like, and it really
No.
means nothing because I've done a lot of training in my life. But few have really instilled the
Mm,
habits and processes. It was
mm,
just left to my own devices. And second of all, they
mm.
didn't really test me on this. Could you fail this thing?
Yes, absolutely. There were
Okay.
people who failed. Not everybody passed. So
Okay.
you first had to pass the theoretical exams, and then you had to pass the 40 hours practical, and then you actually had to co-facilitate with other people. So it was a process. I
Okay.
didn't become a mediator in a week. It took
Okay.
me at least 2 months to be
So
accredited.
it's not just a label, it's a skill as well that you have. Okay. I'm
Absolutely.
happy to hear that. Okay. So that's quite cool. So I want to talk to you specifically about this ballsiness of yours to go like, hey, it's April, it's lockdown, let's start a new business. What made you think that that's a good idea?
Sitting in lockdown made me reflect
Hmm.
a lot. I reflected on business, humans, where my life was, my earning potential, my future. It became a process, a psychosocial process that I unpacked every aspect of my life. Social work, as I said, is no longer for me. It's become a little bit dangerous in this country, to say the least, when people want to start taking you out.
Okay.
So that safety, my personal safety, number one. Number two, the discrimination, because as a social worker in this country, you're working, being paid by one person, you're always in court as a hired gun. I wanted to be the objective person. I wanted to be
Okay.
the person who guided people. So I
Okay.
sat and I thought, what could I do? I needed a business that was gender neutral, that attracted mothers, fathers, and children.
Okay.
So the reason for Matteo is the international greeting to say hello to people across the world.
Oh, I didn't
So
know
my
that.
business starts with a hello,
Okay. It's always a good
because every
opener.
absolutely, and I love telling people what it means. Then I thought, what do I not like about mediation at the moment? What can I change? What personal values of my personality and my principles and my morals can I bring into mediation? I'm very much a humanistic person. I have a very humanistic approach to things.
Yeah.
There's not many people who do humanistic dispute resolution. Then I sat down with a pen and paper and I started drawing, and images and visions came to my mind.
Mm.
So I phoned up somebody. I said, do you have a domain called Matteo? He said, yes. I said, okay, let's start. Within a week, my website was up
Okay.
and the phone started ringing.
Okay.
But I
But it's
planned, I
not that
prepared.
yeah, you planned. Two
Mm,
things happened here is
mm,
when you thought about what makes you unique, it's that's how you made yourself stand out in the market, because all the other guys go, let's mediate and do this, and you went like, now hang on, and you spoke to the heart and you spoke to the emotion, because you understood that. That's number one. But
mm.
two, you planned. So you just didn't launch the business, because anybody who's ever launched a website would know how anticlimactic it is. You work on this thing for so long and then you go, uh and then you
I
expect
know.
millions of emails and it doesn't happen. But obviously you didn't sit on your behind and just go like, well, I have a website, business will come in. What did you
No,
do?
no,
How
no, no,
did
no.
you drive that process to get the phone ringing?
Social media. I did a lot of social media marketing and talking to people. I
Okay.
went through my database. I went through lawyers that I've worked with. I went through every person in my phone book. I asked them what they thought of my ideas. I asked them would they be interested. And people I'd worked with previously, whether it's in a social work role or a mediation role or an assistant role, I asked them if they'd be interested and if there was anybody they would refer.
Okay.
The
That's
phone didn't
very good.
start ringing.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, no, no. Before we get to the phone ringing
Mm-hmm.
thing, a few things stand out here. Two
Mm-hmm.
things stand out. Number one is you elicited feedback.
Yes.
And that is I actually had a 20-minute phone call with an wannabe author yesterday, and they've completely finished the book, and they've not shown it to one person because they're afraid of somebody saying this is a load of hogwash. It means
Okay.
nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like the fact that you elicited feedback to say, hi, I'm putting myself out there. What do you think? And being open to that. But second of all, the most important thing is you looked at the bird in hand principle. What do I have? And you looked at your network. And that's where you're,
Mm.
because you're such a social person. I've seen you operate, and that's where we met. It's in a business environment socially where you just connecting with people and you leverage that network. A lot of us don't leverage our network, and it's sad.
It's not the easiest thing to do.
What makes you say that?
It because we all have pride. You're starting a new business,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like in our heads.
My baby.
Absolutely, isn't my baby beautiful?
And then you
What do you
go
think of
like,
my
wow,
baby?
isn't that the ugliest baby I've ever seen?
Exactly. And the thought of somebody saying that to me, I had to make myself very vulnerable.
Yeah, I actually still want to write an article. It's okay to have ugly babies. Because
That's a few people you should send that to.
because in a business you can make that baby beautiful.
Of course you
Because when you
can.
listen, you can make changes to the business to adapt to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Um, and then I carried on thinking and thinking, and it hasn't stopped. Since April, there's not been a day that my business was as it was the day before. I work on my business. I change my website. I ask for feedback. I work with people. I say, what can I do better? What would you have preferred?
Mm,
What did you not want me to do moving forward?
mm.
Sometimes it's not so nice what you hear,
It is
but
tough. Can you share some of that? Would you be open?
um, I got told by one person that I didn't take enough control of the situation, which was difficult because as a mediator, you're not supposed to control the situation, but you do control from behind. You kind of
Mm,
lead from as a wolf from the back. So it
mm.
needs to be very subtle. So was mine too subtle? I needed to bring it forward. Um, I mediated a case recently that actually had a criminal element in it, which was incredibly difficult,
Okay.
which ended up in civil charges. And the
Okay.
people tried to sue me. There's so much that goes back, that goes with it. You have to
Mm,
be so careful. I learned to find myself a senior mentor, and I
okay.
speak to her a lot.
That is good. Yep. I'm a big
Mm,
fan of mentorship. You
mm,
have
mm.
to have a coach
Yes.
or a mentor. I have
Mm,
both, and
mm.
it's just because I always say otherwise you end up drinking your own Kool-Aid,
Absolutely. And then
and
you don't
that's the
move on.
worst thing. Yeah. Oh well, a good idea in my head is exactly that. A good idea in my head. That's as big as that
Absolutely.
idea goes. It doesn't mean it's a good idea in anybody else's mind. Okay, that's good. So now your business is starting to grow and you're getting more clients in. What advice if you were, because this is going to out to a lot of people, specifically young people out there,
Mm.
what advice would you give to them if they were to start their business now? What should they think about and take into consideration?
There is no instant gratification at all.
What
It's
does that mean?
hard work. So, you know how we love to pick up our phone and you get that instant gratification because you got 10 WhatsApps, three
Okay.
notifications from Facebook.
Okay.
Um, if you want to watch a movie, you can fast forward to the good bit if you know where the good bit is.
Yeah, okay.
This is the way I can describe it. Imagine building a house.
Yes.
Your training's your foundation. It has to be rock solid, or you go back and you redo that foundation. And
Oh,
it's
and
brick by brick.
and if you have to go back to do the foundation, you have to break down what you built. That's a very good
Absolutely.
analogy. Thank you. I am
Absolutely.
stealing that one
Mm.
from you.
Oh,
But
okay. Steal my thoughts.
that yeah, absolutely. Penny for your thoughts. But
A
that's actually a
penny.
very good price. But that's a good idea. That's a good way to say it because the thing is that I've looked at some of my businesses where oh my goodness! There's still a wall standing there and there, and it's still in my
Yeah.
way, and it's sometimes it's hard to
Mm.
break down what you built, which what you thought was a good idea, but if your basics aren't there, then it's not going to stand. It's going to fall over. Okay,
My second piece of advice, and it's something I've
please.
learned recently, collaborate. Find like minded people
Yes,
with the same principles, values, and morals and collaborate with them.
absolutely.
It's huge to do that. Can I give you an example?
Please give me an because I know the benefits of of that, but what does it mean within your context?
So I've collaborated with an organization, an NGO.
Mm.
I've gone and done some training there. I like their values, their principles, their morals. I like what they stand for. They are very humanistic in their approach. They work from grassroots up. I do like that. We start at the grassroots and work up. I went to do some training last week with his facilitators in the business. I cannot tell you what has happened in a week from one collaboration. It is expanding like you won't believe. It's blooming like a beautiful rose that just opened up this morning. Every day there's more petals and more petals and more
Okay.
petals. It's
Okay.
lovely. So now I've got my foundation and my building my garden, if that makes sense.
But I want to add a little bit to in order to
Mm,
collaborate, you have to give something away.
100%.
And a lot of people go like, oh, it's my precious. I can't let go of this thing. I have to keep it. And it's difficult because I'm in a leadership of effectuation.
Mm,
And one of the key elements within it is leveraging your network, but also co-creating. And it's one of the central things that
mm,
I've spoken to other practitioners is like, how do people co-create? Difficult,
mm,
because everybody thinks an idea is original. Because I don't want to sound condescending, but mediation is not exactly unique. It is a service that's out there, and to stand out in that, and that's why I'm having this conversation with you. Is like, how do you, in a sea of solutions, stand out? And I think you've addressed that quite well. Any other
yeah.
tidbits before we finish up this amazing interview with you?
Um, be passionate. Be passionate. Love, dream. There's one thing I'd like to share with everybody, and I've only
Mm,
learned this, I'd say in the last year. Respect your business. Respect your business like you would respect your partner. Respect it, love it, and look after it. It's important.
okay, that's some good
I think
advice.
that's respect it very much. You respect it, it'll grow
Yeah,
and it'll respect you back.
because you value it. Whatever you value will
Yes,
grow. If you don't value it,
absolutely.
I always tell people when they come to me and say, well, I don't have any money. And then I talk to them about money, and then they start hearing words like root of all evil, bad, everything else. And I ask them, imagine you spoke about your husband or wife like you do about money. Would they stay around? They're like, no. I said, what does money do? Does it come to you or run away from you? And they're like, it runs away from me. And the same can happen with your business and your
Of
customers
course.
and everybody else with that. Lee,
In the blink of an eye.
I want to thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thank
And
you
I
very
hope that
much.
we one day can connect again. All the best with your
Absolutely.
business.
Good luck, everybody. I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you.
Take care, Willem. And everybody, you're very lucky. You've got a good coach who's there to guide you,
Thank
and
you.
he will serve you well. Because the truth of the matter is, Willem, I wouldn't be where I was today if it wasn't for you helping me and supporting me and coaching me and guiding me. So not only did I build a business, I built a relationship with somebody who I will take through my business with me.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Lee.